we are talking about the social gains, and we group them into three: in agriculture, in medicine, in architecture, and in engineering. And in engineering, so now let's take a look at that of agriculture, technological gains in agriculture. One, the invention of farm machinery, machineries like tractor, plowing machine, plowing machine, harvester, harvester has really what improved the yield of uh the yield of food. That improved what the yield of food. And also we talk about the animal skin, animal skin, which is basically in the production of leather, leather bags, belts. Sorry. Okay. How about now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me now? It's breaking. Oh, sorry. It might be the network. Can you hear me now? Favor Ademukoya.
All right. Let's go straight into it. Thank you. Okay. Let me go back. So we're talking about in agriculture. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, in agriculture now, technological development has helped in the area of what? Farm machineries. Farm machineries. Unlike unlike in the early days where the early men were making use of their hands, they're making use of their hands, their cutlasses, cutlasses and hoes. Technological developments now played a very crucial role in what? In agriculture by um, inventing farm machineries like harvesters, harvesters, plowing machines, plowing machines, tractors, tractors, even incubator. So we had lots of machineries that can help us in planting, operation, cultivation, and even harvesting. So also in the area of agriculture, technological development has also helped improve production of food. Let's just leave it at this. Then let's talk about the animal skin. Animal skin, animal skin, which is used to what? Produce like leather bags, handbag, belts, and so on, wristwatch handles, and so on. So that is that. Then let's talk about in medicine. In the area of medicine, technological development has helped. One, we've talked about antibiotics before. Antibiotics, new drugs, even the understanding of what um the understanding of what the immune system, which led to what organ and tissue transplants, new drugs, and so on and so forth. Even medical laws, infrastructure. Then let's talk about that of architecture and engineering. Technological development has also helped in this area by what? Construction, constructing of the construction of dams, uh, canals, even bridges, houses, and etc. Also, in this architecture and engineering, there's what we call biotech. Biotechnology came into play because of what? Technological development. Biotechnology. So what is biotechnology? Bio has to do with biology. Biotechnology is actually what? The use of biological what? Materials to produce what? Useful products. In biotechnology, they manipulate genes, they manipulate biological system to produce what? To produce what? Useful products. In the area of biotechnology, we have genetic engineering. There is what we call GMO, genetically modified organism, or GMF, genetically modified food. So in the area of this engineering, which is biotech, there's what they brought about GMO food, and there's GMO food, there's GM crop as well. There's GM food, GM crop as well. And this crop of a thing, this crop that came into being as a result of biotechnology or genetic engineering were produced when were produced to be resistant to some certain diseases in the early days when farmers are planting. Okay, not even in the early days, before now, there was people were using fertilizer, using pesticides, using insecticides to prevent pests from affect or the effect of a pest on the crops. But unlike now that there is GMC, genetically modified crops. Now there are tomatoes that are resistant to pests. There are some certain crops, even corn, that are produced or cultured that are resistant to what? Pests. You don't need to buy pesticide to spray. You don't need to buy insecticide to spray. It's a result of what? Biotechnology. I don't want to dwell much on this. So now, with that being said, now let's look at the adverse effects. These are the gains. Now let's look at what the adverse effect, the negative effect of technological development. The negative effect of what? Technological development. Is still the implications. So the adverse effects are grouped into four, like the 4 P's. They are grouped into 4 P's, just like 4 marketing P's. They are grouped into 4 P's. The first one, let me write it as a number: pollution, population. Sorry. The first one, we have population. Population. 2, pollution. Pollution. 3, we have poverty. And lastly, we have what? Peace. So these are the 4 what? Adverse effects of technological development. Population. Technological development has caused what? Increase in the world population. It has caused increase in the world population. Population, okay, increase in the world population. Unlike in the early days, I'm using that as an instance. In the early days, the early men were using their hands, hoes, cutlasses for farming, and they were adopting this method of farming, like a bush following method of farming. Do you understand? And in bush following, a farmer cultivates a portion of land. He abandons the land, go elsewhere. After harvesting from that portion of land, he go elsewhere. He abandons the first land, go elsewhere to farm in another portion of land, and he will now have to leave the first farm where he planted before. He will leave it for like 3, 4 to 5 years for it to regain its fertility, for it to come back to its original nature before he comes back to farm on it again. But in this recent era, or in this era, they adopted what is called crop rotation. Crop rotation instead of what? Bush following. The advent of technological development brought about what? This crop rotation method of farming, whereby a farmer can plant up to 4 crops, 5 crops, A, B, C, D. A, B, C, and D. He can plant maybe for the first year 1, year 2, year 3, and so on, probably year 4. He plants one crop here, let's say beans. He plants yam. He plants what soybeans. He plants what again? What other plants? Okay, let's say rice and so on. So after, in the system of crop rotation now, the farmer is now aware that, okay, if I plant beans this year, I plant beans on this is a portion of land. He divides the land into like 4 portions and plants different crops here. Then the following year he interchange them. Maybe he will now have to plant yam again, bring beans, bring rice here, and the fertility of the soil will still be intact. Unlike this period where the farmer will just plant, leave this whole portion of land, leave it for like 4 to 5 years before coming back to it. And that period of bush following system of method of farming, the food, excuse me, what is happening again? Okay, in this when the farmers were using this bush following method, food were what readily available for what the people. But the advent of technology, they brought about crop rotation, they brought about these farm machineries, farm machineries, which also help to improve the area of food. And somebody will be asking, like, but how does increase in population, what has increase in population got to do with technology? uh, what has increase in the world population got to do with what? Technology. Increase in world population has to do with technology, in the sense that one there's food is now like very very much available for the people. One, then secondly, there is improved standard of living, unlike before. Improved what? Standard of living. And there is effective control of disease. Effective control of disease. Do you understand? So by the because food is now available, because farmers are now adopting the new method of technology, foods are available, which cancels what? Famine. Right? Improved standard of living. People are now eating good food, and at the same time they are aware of sanitation, environmental sanitation. They are aware of it. And this effective control of disease, they are should I say health techniques. There were health there are health techniques that were what the health techniques that came into play, that helped to what solve some health issues, unlike before where the early men were using orthodox medicine. So by the reason of this now, death rate is now what? At minimal. Death rate is at minimal. And as death rate is decreasing, birth rate is what? Increasing. Birth rate is increasing, because famine have been eliminated. People no longer die of starvation. It's not like there are no people dying of starvation, because but the World Food Health, they are trying their best to what? Make food available, but population is kept on what? Increasing. Do we understand? Population kept on decreasing. So famine have been eliminated. Now, control of disease. If you're sick or you need any medical surgery or you need to be attended to, there are medical infrastructure, sophisticated ones that can help in to administer this treatment to you. So thereby what? Increasing birth rate, then decreasing death rate. So, and the resultant effect of this is what? Overpopulation. When the death rate is higher than what? The birth rate, it leads to what? Overpopulation. So this is how technological development okay affects what? The world's what? Population. Now let's take a look at the second one, which is what? Pollution. pollution Technological development causes what? Pollution. How? What is even pollution? Pollution is what? The release of what? Harmful substances or what? Toxic substances into the environment, which affects what? It affects man, it affects animal, it affects what? Plants. Do we understand? So with the advent of tech now, or technological development, it brought about some harmful substances like what? We have carbon dioxide, CO2, we have methane, we have what? Chlorofluorocarbon, CFC. I don't want to write it in full. Chlorofluorocarbon. These substances, as a result of what technological development, are produced, and when it's released, like it's released into the atmosphere, it alters the climate, especially this chlorofluorocarbon. Chlorofluorocarbon is a substance that all these aeroplane jets, they make use of them. So that is why they produce this chlorofluorocarbon, and it depletes the ozone layer. This chlorofluorocarbon, it depletes what? The ozone layer. O3. This is ozone layer. It depletes it, like gradually depletes it. And CO2, methane, and the three of them, they deplete what? They alter the climate. They alter the Earth's climate. And you know, this ozone layer of the atmosphere, once it's depleted, it affects literally every living thing. It affects literally every living thing. Every living thing. We talk about the plants, we talk about animals, we talk about what? Man. The depletion of ozone layer can cause it can cause what? It can cause cancer. It can even lead to death. It can kill a man, because the ozone layer covers the sun from reaching us directly. But when it's depleted, it now what? Leads to the sun will not have like direct access to the earth. Do you understand? So once it's depleted now, it will now cause what? Cancer. It can even kill a man, then kill aquatic animal, both terrestrial animals living on the land, and animals living in water. Animals living in water. Then we talk about plants also. It kills plants, both aquatic and what? Terrestrial plants. Then we'll now talk of now we've talked about these greenhouse gases. So now, secondly, apart from the air pollution release of this harmful or toxic substances into the atmosphere, apart from their effect, we also have that of the water bodies. Water pollution of water, release of harmful toxic substances into the water. And how do technological developments cause this water pollution? One, we talk about oil spillage or seepage. We talk about industrial waste. Sometimes they are washed into the river bodies, which end up killing what? Aquatic animals in the water bodies, and also what? Terrestrial animal. And even land pollution, noise pollution, release of harmful substances into what? The land. And noise pollution is part of what? Land pollution. Example of noise pollution, we have loud music like that. Then we have also even aeroplane. Excuse me. Okay, noise from aeroplanes are also part of it. Now let's look at poverty. How does poverty affect what the population? How does technological development bring about poverty? It brings about poverty because when there is overpopulation, the when there is overpopulation, okay, when there is overpopulation, there will always be what? Poverty. Yes, we talked about like improved agricultural system and so on, which improve their food. But the are they being the rates, okay, are they being like, as people or population is increasing, food is also increasing. If are they being population is increasing and food is also increasing at the same rate, there wouldn't have been any traces of what? Poverty. Increase in food rate, not just food, even resources. Likewise, resources, had it been as is increasing, food and resources are also increasing at the same rate, there will be no traces of what? Poverty. But notwithstanding, even as technological, even as technology is trying to like, okay, adopt method in which food will be readily available for everybody, but the population is increasing population the population increase rate is higher compared to what? The food and resources. And that is why we have traces of poverty. Then we talk of a pursuit of peace. Where there is peace, there is what? War. So how does technological development affect the peace of the people? One, we talk about what? Ammunitions. Weapons and ammunition. From the right from the era of what? The bow and arrow. Right from the era of the bow and arrow, scientists have, okay, from that time of bow and arrow, they've been trying one way or the other to increase what, or to help to increase these excuse me. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so sorry. So after the advent of bow and arrow, they went further towards produce what they called atomic bomb. That is in the Second World War. In the First World War, they made use of what? Arrow, which brought about radio communication, radio like communication, and the rest of it all. Then in the Second World War, they brought about what? Atomic bomb. Then the third world, the third world war, they brought about hydrogen bomb, which, and the advent of hydrogen bomb brought about space travel. It brought about what? Space travel. And the reason why, okay, we thought like, okay, when they brought the space travel or the space travel was not just because of anything or satellites movement in the satellite. It's not because of anything, but they did that. They brought about this satellite of a thing so they can be be transporting these ammunitions, these this nuclear bomb from one country to another, and these have affected a lot of people. It has affected the society as a whole. So this is how technological development has affected us in this area. The population, pollution, it has caused increase in the world population. It has caused pollution of the environment. It also led to poverty, and it also led towards and it also led towards decrease in pursuit of peace. um I think we'll call it a wrap for tonight. And I hope you enjoyed the class. And I wish to see you guys in my next class. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. Yeah.